So we have some crazy stuff we have to talk about with Tesla, both some good news and then also some bad news, okay? Now, I'm not sure which one you guys want to hear first, so in order to go ahead and make the decision, I'm going to flip a coin because this is how we make important decisions in 2023. We just flip a coin, basically, okay? Now, head is good, or heads is good, tails is bad. So we're going to go ahead and flip this real quick, and we got tails, okay? So we'll go ahead and have to wait to talk about the good stuff later on towards the video. So starting off with the bad, I have to provide some context as, you know, this stuff is really pertinent to what's going on in the overall market and all the negativity going on. And that has to deal with the Federal Reserve and what they just did, okay? So if you just logged onto Twitter just a couple of days ago, you'd see that Bill Ackman and Elon Musk were both very vocal. They're both adamant about the Federal Reserve either pausing and starting to cut rates as opposed to hiking rates. And the reason behind this is because, you know, of what's been going on with the, you know, banking crisis. And at the moment right now, if they hike rates higher, well, what does that do? Short-term treasuries, right, T-bills have a higher yield. So individuals might be like, why would I put my money in the bank when there's risk of bank runs? And also they're paying me very little interest when I could just go ahead and put my money in a short-term treasury and yield, you know, a return, right? So that's the whole idea with that. And it makes sense because of course we're seeing these bank runs have a domino effect. And so, you know, they're very right at that end. However, at the same time, the Federal Reserve has a difficult battle going on. They have inflation, which is not transitory, right? Inflation is very sticky right now, and then they're having a hard time. Now, you know, last week I had the privilege of, you know, visiting Chicago, and I actually got to, you know, go near one of the Federal Reserve banks in Chicago, one of the, you know, 12 central banks. And I took a photo, and in the caption for, you know, Instagram, I mentioned how they secretly told me they're doing 25 basis points. And that is exactly what they did. Now, you know, all jokes aside, they did not secretly tell me, you know, they were doing 25 basis points. It just made sense that, you know, being with how sticky inflation is, the Federal Reserve is still going to continue to hike. And so that's going to be very damaging to the overall market, right? Because just as, you know, it is obviously damaging as money is more expensive to borrow, the same narrative that Elon Musk and Bill Ackman said is also true. So we have to, you know, pay attention to what's going on with the banks because guess what? It's going to be a little bit more tougher and a lot of the smaller banks are going to have more issues, okay? Now I want to go ahead and cover something else that I want you guys to take a look at. Now I want you guys to take a look at what's happening with the overall S&P 500 index ETF, ticker symbol SPY, the SPY, and I want you guys to notice a few things. So it looks like we're moving sideways, we're consolidating. You know, we move a little bit up, we move a little bit down, up, down, but we're trading in between this range. And if you look, it looks like we're approaching this area of resistance, right? And so if we take a look to the right, we see something called the volume profile, right? Now, we're used to looking at volume by time. However, I like to look at volume by price because it tells us a little bit of a deeper story. See, when there's a lot of volume by price, that means that at a certain price level, there's a lot of exchanges, you know, exchanges happening between buyers and sellers, right? And so when there's a lot of volume by price, well, we could, you know, typically see things move sideways. It's hard to get a move. And so if we don't break above this area with the overall S&P 500, you know, ETF, well, we're possibly going to see the overall market going down. And if we take a look at Tesla, it's the same exact narrative, right? And so one of the things I mentioned on this channel a multitude of different times is, you know, although, you know, I like looking at technical analysis, I like looking at the charts, we have to look at several different data points. And this is just one data point. Okay, so we know that there's bad news, you know, happening with, you know, the banking crisis. The Fed is kind of having to accelerate that by hiking rates, although, you know, they're doing this to fight inflation. So it's kind of like two battles happening at the same time. And then we see that the overall market and Tesla is trading, you know, close to this, you know, level where there's a lot of volume by price, right? So what could possibly push Tesla up or down? Well, a catalyst event. Now, there is some catalyst news that just came out that could really hurt Tesla. So news came out today that Tesla may have to hike their car prices upwards. Now, the reason behind this is simply because of the EV tax credit. See, a lot of the batteries that come from Tesla on the Model 3s are manufactured in China, right? And so this would disqualify Tesla from being able to take advantage of the EV tax credit. So this is bad, along with the news of rates being hiked up. That's bad, right? So obviously there's a lot of fire going on in the overall markets and the economy, a lot of, you know, berserk craziness happening. Some individuals may say, everything is bonkers. However, we have to pay attention to, what's really going on for Tesla. Now, in the short term, yeah, I'm probably going to be trading Tesla going down. However, if you guys looked at my community post for YouTube on this channel, I posted that I bought more shares of Tesla long term. So how does that make sense? Why am I trading and shorting Tesla short term, but then also buying Tesla long term? So my short term trading account, guess what? I'm shorting Tesla. But in my long-term Tesla, my long-term investing portfolio, I'm adding more Tesla in there, right? Because I'm dollar cost averaging, simply because I know that while everything is going crazy right now, Tesla's still gonna have pricing power over a bunch of the competition. Why? Because if you paid attention to Investor Day, you would see what they're doing engineer-wise with the overall company, right? And the vertical integration that they're all, that they're doing, right? And it's putting them, just years ahead of the competition. And so what happens when, overall the economy is going down? Well, a lot of companies are forced to, struggle, and where Tesla's doing what they're doing engineer-wise over, at their manufacturing facilities, this is allowing Tesla to actually still keep prices low even without the EV tax credit, and actually stir up demand to actually help Tesla, in the further future, right? So this is why I'm very bullish on Tesla long term, but very, bearish on Tesla in the short term. Now I want to go ahead and highlight another reason why I'm bullish for Tesla in the long term, and trust me, once you see this, you're just going to see how obvious it is that Tesla is going to stay a main player in the EV space. It's just ridiculous at this point. However, before I go ahead and show you guys this, make sure to tap that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. So if you're new to the channel, subscribe. But with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about this. So Ford just revealed that it lost $2.1 billion on operating basis for its EV vehicle last year, and they're predicting an additional $3 billion loss for 2023, right? And get this, they're not expecting to reach profitability in the EV space till 2026. So that right there just tells you everything you have to know. Tesla is profitable now. Ford is not going to be profitable till 2026. So Tesla is years ahead. And guess what? The overall car for Tesla is not just the only point in which Tesla is going to be more profitable. It's going to be the software, right? It's going to be FSD. And guess what? They're going to be light years ahead with all the data they're collecting for FSD in comparison to what all the other legacy vehicles are doing, right? So this is why, I'm bullish for Tesla in the long term, right? But in the short term, yeah, with all the, economical headwinds just taking place, of course, as Tesla's falling down, in my short-term trading account, I'm going to be shorting. But, as you guys saw in my community post, I'm, slowly buying Tesla up in my long-term portfolio. But with that being said, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this video. And also make sure to watch this next video right over here if you haven't done so. And I'll see you guys on that next video. Take care, guys.